right. Welcome. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you to Michael and Marianne for giving us this platform to share our work and seek community guidance. My name is Nicole Bouvet Brown, and you'll hear a little bit more about me in just a minute. But I wanted to start just giving you a context about why this group and why we are here in this space. So I brought this panel together because a couple things. First, I'm trained as an interdisciplinary thinker. My bachelor's is in not chemistry, not biology, but chemistry/biology with an environmental emphasis because I wanted to do it all and they didn't have an environmental science major where I went. Okay. Then I went to get my PhD in environmental science policy and management. Again, like this grand scope. And I really truly believe in liberal arts education and what we do here at LMU. So, after chatting with folks here, but also with our keynote speaker who was presenting yesterday, I got the idea that like there's a million things happening on this campus all the time, and they're all great, but we don't all know about them. And as a student, like you, right, when you come to campus, we know you're excited. And Nancy talked about that too, about how students are so excited to work on sustainability questions and things, but maybe don't know all the opportunities that are around. So we convened this group to collaborate and to brainstorm on ideas. And this is really just a venue to get us together. It's an excuse to get us all in person. We've only been meeting in Zoom. And so we are here to basically just let you know a little bit about what we've been thinking about, but then also turn it to you. And you are going to try to help us navigate how to go forward with this. Um, so All right. So if I dance, there we go. So today we're quickly just going to talk about who we are and our highlights from each of our areas. And then we're going to open it up to you. And we're going to ask you how you have been involved with environmental work already. And then we're going to ground it a little bit in mission and Laudato Si, given the theme of our symposium, and then leave it off with some time to think about what you want us. All right, so first me, and then I will turn it over to all of you. Okay, so again, professor and chair of the Environmental Science Department. I'm also a professor of chemistry and biochemistry. Brand new department this year, so exciting. And also co-director of the Coastal Research Institute. I've been here since 2009, teaching both chemistry and environmental science. So a couple highlights of our department. We offer a major and a minor. Our kind of highlights of the major is an internship experience where people get on the ground training and experience in the real world, quote unquote, in environmental science. We also have a capstone requirement where students do research projects under the guidance of faculty. Environmental science is basically applying fundamental scientific principles of biology, chemistry, physics, et cetera, to understanding environmental issues. The faculty expertise in the department, ecology and geology and atmospheric chemistry. We're well connected with other departments, though, that we offer a lot of research opportunities, especially through the biology department. Lots of opportunities for field work. We love to get outside. We have a little plug here. Our capstone presentations are on May 5th at 2 p.m. in Seaver 200, in case anyone is interested to see what's going on in the capstones. And then the other thing is the Coastal Research Institute, which I'm going to leave to Tom to talk about a little bit more. But we have our summer application is open for students right now. So if you're interested in that, come see me after and we can talk about that. It's due February 27th. Okay, that's me. Oh, Tyler.
Okay, is this working? Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Tyler Harlan, and I am from the Urban and Environmental Studies Department. I'll talk a little bit more about environmental studies here in just a second. Similar, but a little bit different than environmental science. Okay, I'm not going to look behind me and look at my notes, but I will, I think, on this slide, talk a little bit about my background. So this is my 6th year at LMU. Been in environmental studies the whole time, and Like Dr. Bouvier Brown was talking about, one of the things that really attracted me to LMU is the liberal arts education. It's the ability to be in a classroom with a small number of students and really think together about these environmental issues. My own research is really about China's growing role in international environmental politics. As China has reduced its pollution, it reduced its emissions, it's kind of become almost a climate leader. I'm interested in how that's shaping politics, but also influencing how other countries sort of achieve energy transition and carbon neutrality. Um, I'll talk a little bit about the department too, which I think might be the next slide, Nicole. So we're an urban and environmental studies department, which means we have two programs, urban studies and environmental studies. We'll talk about environmental studies here. And I think the main difference between environmental studies and science, at least at LMU, is while science kind of focuses on those biophysical aspects that Dr. Bouvier Brown was talking about, studies focuses more on the social science and humanities kind of approach. So thinking a lot about environment and society or nature and society. So some of the classes that we offer on this front are things like environmental policy. We offer a class called political ecology, which is kind of like a critical take on environmental politics. We offer a class called race, body, and environment, which is exactly what it sounds like, but kind of about environmental racism and anti-racism. And we also offer classes just like environmental science does in geographic information systems. So kind of a technique or a tool to examine these environmental problems. Like environmental science, we also have capstones in both urban and environmental studies. Our capstone presentations are, let me turn around for this one. They are on Monday, May 4th. We really wanted to do these together, and eventually we will. But at this point, for those of you who are interested in learning about capstones in both programs, well, you should come on May 4th, and then you should come on May 5th. And we have some really terrific faculty in our department that have expertise, across a wide range of areas. For me, it's kind of global environmental politics and energy, but also in water governance, in urban planning and cities. And one of our faculty is doing a really interesting project on development of data centers and their kind of environmental impacts. We have folks looking at conservation, looking at such a wide range of kind of amazing work. It's kind of a great milieu for us to all be in, sort of bouncing ideas off of each other and working together on research. So just invite you to both ask questions of me a little bit later and also to attend our capstone and other events so you can learn a little bit more about our programs.
Good morning, everybody. And a bunch of you guys are students from B Corp 4910, so good to see you too. My name is Jeff Thies, and I'm going to be speaking from the perspective of being the director of the Institute for Business Ethics and Sustainability. I'm a former business person, and I'm in the College of Business Administration. I'm a former marketing and then healthcare executive, and taught here part-time for 20 years, and I've been here the last 10 years full-time, and it's been a real blessing. In terms of some of the things that we do, and I am going to look over my shoulder. We run co-curricular programs in environmental and social responsibility. Really, the framework for us is the Sustainable Development Goals. And part of that is that in 2018, the College of Business Administration became signatories to a program called the Principles for Responsible Management Education. We have a phrase that we use in CBA, business as a force for good. So how do we understand the responsibility that business has both environmentally and socially? So one framework for that are the Sustainable Development Goals. That's a UN program that articulated 17 dimensions of profound human need. Spoiler alert, we're way behind on almost all of them. We got a lot of work to do. But one CEO articulated the SDGs as simply saying that it means that no human being should be left behind. So how do we understand that, and how do we embed that in our business education and business practices? So we became signatories to that in 2018. We do a report for the United Nations every year about the work that we've done to both embed them and advance them in the work that we do in CBA. So then we have different types of programs that are an expression of that. We have a Business as a Force for Good annual ethics symposium. We do that every October. We have the International Business Ethics and Sustainability Case Competition. In class, I refer to this as IBESC. In April, we will have 60 student teams from 35 plus universities from 8 countries coming to LMU here to participate in this case competition, the largest participation ever. And in that program, the students identify a business ethics problem and then they propose a solution and then explain how that solution is workable legally, financially, and ethically. They do this in before panels of executive judges. So we'll have about 100 executives here who will be interfacing with the student teams who are doing the presentations. It's a wonderful kind of virtue circle because what it does is reinforces in the executives the very practices that the students are arguing for in their presentations. And so anyway, that's coming up. We have the Dryer Chairs in Accounting Ethics Distinguished Speaker Series, and then we do a number of different other programs during the year. One that's very popular is Careers in Sustainability, which we do every November. And we bring in sustainability executives and then have people who are interested in sustainability, students. Basically, it's speed dating in sustainability careers. So we have people the executives sit with about 10 students and then talk for a half hour, ding, ding, ding. The executives change tables and talk to other students. And so interfacing with how this passion for sustainability appears in business practices, careers is something else that we reinforce. We have a program called the SDG Student Ambassador Program. The Institute for Business Ethics and Sustainability hires 10 students every year to advance practices in sustainability, catalyzing awareness of the Sustainable Development Goals, and then doing specific initiatives. One team is working to develop educational programs for a nonprofit in Louisiana, really to advance specifically renewable energy resources in that county in Louisiana. So cool things happening like that. And then IBES has both industry and faculty advisory committees. Number of people here participate in that. It's really important for us that we ground what we do both in the research and the educational initiatives of our faculty, but also have it grounded in relevance to business applications. So we maintain those relationships as well. I said that we maintain different kinds of important networks in addition to those. I already talked about the principles for responsible management education. We're also very active as a College of Business Administration in the International Association of Jesuit Business Schools. And that's also another kind of expression of that, our colleagues in Jesuit Business Education. We meet on an annual basis. LMU is hosting the international meeting of the International Association of Jesuit Business Schools in July. And then we're going to have a special day we're calling the convening. And then after that, we're hosting the Prime North America chapter. So we're going to have a week in mid-July of really important kind of gatherings. If you Google "The World Comes to LA," you'll see a bunch of cool stuff that we have related to that. And then finally, we participate in something called the Globally Responsible Leadership Initiative. Dean Dale Smith has a governance role with them, and I do as well. And this is an association fundamentally of global partners who really help us in thought leadership about how we advance this in business education and really how we understand the profound need that we have as a human society for social and environmental responsibilities.
Is this one working? Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Tom Ford, several titles up here. I am a CEO of a nonprofit organization called the Bay Foundation. The core element of that group is to aid or support the Santa Monica Bay National Estuary Program. So in that is our public-facing aspect of our work. We have several policy and governing bodies that we work with, which are local, state, federal agencies, municipalities, business interests, tourism, all focused on trying to make sure that this fantastic quality of life of coastal Los Angeles County is preserved, is sustainable, is protected, is enhanced. And through the exploration of that work, I've been with the organization since about 2006 through a variety of different roles. It was, hey, there's so much great work here. And there's so many students, there's so many universities, so many colleges here, and sort of reflecting on the way Nicole spoke to it. I was looking for those opportunities as a student. And so we saw the opportunity through the Coastal Research Institute to create access to the questions, to the work that we need to institute here to understand the value of our work, to focus our targets so that we're investing smartly and delivering on what the public has asked for by informing that through great applied work and science and community outreach. I would say any of the students and the faculty that work with us here at LMU with the Coastal Research Institute understand that we sit in a nexus between science and communication. If we're not able to translate what we're doing, why we're doing it, and create that linkage with the public, we're not really getting the job done. And we also, as communication, so critical on the listening side, hearing where folks are coming from, understanding what the public is requesting, and helping focus those questions for them as well. As for our opportunities here and some of the services that we do provide on campus, we have 7 years now, Nicole. I think that's what we counted up. 7 years at CRI at this point. I think we're at 7 now. It's 8. So we engage faculty, and we engage students working with those faculty members, as well as students working directly with the Bay Foundation across a number of questions. Can we improve coastal resilience against sea level rise and coastal erosion? We are restoring kelp forests. We're restoring abalone populations. We now have millions of endangered blue butterflies thriving in Manhattan Beach. And now Dr. Kate Eisen, for example, she comes to my mind. We're looking at how they might be drawn to specific flowers based on the aroma and the quantity of that aroma that they produce. If Kate was in the room, she would tell me everything I just said wrong, I'm sure. But that's an idea of how this works. We engage students through summer session 1. We try to find opportunities to match them up with professors who are interested in pursuing some of the work that I've described to you today. I'm trying to be brief and honor everything. That sort of sums it up. I'll also be here afterwards, happy to speak with you about these opportunities that we're generating here on campus. Also teach an intro to environmental science course. A number of environmental studies students often take that course. I love teaching it. And I think I can sum it up there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Drawlinger Environmental Fellow at the Center for Urban Resilience here at LMU, and I've been in this position officially full-time for about 8 years. And one of the things that I bring to the table is that I'm a naturalist, and I've been in this Ballona watershed for close to 40 years. At the time I got involved, I was a member of the Friends of Ballona Wetlands, and then I became a board member, a docent, and I'm still on the board. I was executive director for 7 years. And it really put me deep into the history of this area, the cultural history, our ancestors. And a lot of my passions coincided. I love birds and I love wildlife. And that's basically what I bring to the table for Cures. And for you as a student, if you want to find out more about our watershed, what you can do, we have things on our campus. If you want to go to the next slide, we have these wonderful sites that we're starting to transform with native plants. And some of you may be familiar with the term TEK, which is traditional ecological knowledge. And that would be coming from our ancestors, in this case, in our area, the Gabrielino Tongva people. But you'll find that this sort of thing is a worldwide phenomenon. The indigenous peoples around the world will teach us and bring us back to native plants and the value of native plants medicinally and for our health. And so these are just a few of the opportunities here currently on campus, but we want to explore many more. And you'll find that by working with us, our center is really a catalyst to get you involved with all these other departments and wonderful representatives of these different colleges here at LMU. You want to get deep into what you're studying and you want it to be personal, and that's something that we can do at the center. One of my favorite opportunities here is to work at the Tongva Memorial Site. And if you haven't been, contact me at the center. I'll take you over there and we'll talk about the history. The second favorite spot for me in my career here is the Discovery Park down in Playa Vista. And when I first found out that that park was going to go in, it was a mitigation project of the developer who built Playa Vista. I wasn't sure what I was getting into. I thought, oh, these are the big bad developers. What's happening here? But the deeper I got, the more I learned that it could be one of the most successfully mitigated development sites in the world. And there's many reasons for that. On the surface, and when you drive by on Lincoln and Jefferson, you go, oh, look at all those buildings. But when you go deep into the history of why it was built, why the community was built, the concept was you live, work, and play in the same area. And the park has a very special tagline: neighborhood wellness begins here. And we live it every day. We bring people twice a month for a garden club. We do bird walks. We do butterfly counts. So if you want to get out into nature, our center is your avenue to do that and to do things here on campus. And we can get into the challenges of doing that. This is a beautifully landscaped campus, by the way, and we can improve it and get it more conducive to providing the ecosystem services that we know that nature needs. And we can get the balance right. And that's the whole point. So come and see me if you'd like to know more.
Okay, I'm already pretty loud, so I'm going to be extra loud with the mic. Kathy Trislini, or Catherine, I teach at Loyola Law School, which some of you may know is we're on a separate campus. We're downtown, interesting campus designed by Frank Gehry. But I really, as I get to know my colleagues here better and better, I would love to be able to spend more time here with them. So when I was in law school, I had the opportunity to do internships with the Natural Resources Defense Council and the EPA Office of General Counsel, and I was immediately hooked. I knew that this was the work I wanted to do. After law school, I practiced environmental law with a couple of different public interest law firms and got to work on a broad range of issues with endangered species, the Clean Water Act, the National Environmental Policy Act, California Environmental Quality Act. So I was very fortunate. And then went into teaching. I taught the environmental clinic at UCLA for a couple of years before transitioning to a full-time position at Loyola Law School. So the law school, we have a course of study in environmental law. I teach courses, basic environmental course in federal environmental policy. We've had some very dramatic news today that some of you may have heard. I'll talk to you in a moment about that. Also courses on local governments and the environment, land use law, climate change and the law. And we have a very active environmental group on campus. The students work together. We had a large group of students attend the California Lawyers Association annual environmental law conference in Yosemite, where the students networked with practitioners, got to meet a number of our alumni, and our alumni have gone on to work at federal agencies, at local agencies, at all different kinds of nonprofits. Some have started their own nonprofits, fighting the effects of climate change, from big warehouse installations to all kinds of issues that they're working on. So I'm really proud of my students and what they've been able to do. The one that related to today's news. So in my environmental law class last semester, one of the things that my students got a chance to work on, I rearranged my entire class to teach them about the Clean Air Act first, and gave the students a chance to write what is it's a comment letter, but this is not your average letter. This is a formal legal submission on decision making that EPA was making. And under this administration, they have decided that greenhouse gases are really not a problem. And in order to repeal their previous finding that prompted regulation of greenhouse gases. They made a finding. It's a very formal document, hundreds of pages, talking about the science of climate change, how it harms the environment, how it harms people, and why they had the authority, which they did under the Clean Air Act, to regulate that. Indeed, they had a mandate to. So that was made a number of years ago and prompted regulation of greenhouse gases from cars, trucks, from power plants. So this administration has decided to undo that. And they were required to submit a draft version of their new regulation. Again, hundreds of pages. My students submitted formal comments. I submitted formal comments. Now the agency has finalized that, saying, yeah, we're not so worried about greenhouse gases. They're going to be sued. And my hope is that the comments that I made and my students made will support that lawsuit. So there's a lot going on, which is part of the reason. So at the federal level, I think we're going backwards. There's really no other way to say it. Fortunately, there's a lot going on at other levels. You heard a lot about the work going on here. That's not the only game in town. And there's a lot of good stuff happening, which makes me feel very optimistic about the long run, even if the short run is going to be a little bit of a fight. So that's a little more of a downer than some of the other ones. But we have to take on the forces that would try to walk us backwards. Not a downer. It's reality. Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Ian McEwen. I'm the Campus Sustainability Officer, which is Green LMU program here on campus. A lot of you have probably heard about. We've got some people here in the office, actually. I'll talk about that in a minute. My background is around sustainability for a couple different universities and consulting work and working with some private companies. I have a passion for applying technology to solve some of our climate issues, specifically renewable energy, energy storage, EV charging. I think that will play a major role in our transition over time. Also pairing that with some more traditional and some of the topics Lisa talked about, I think those pair nicely together. It's kind of proving through business that sustainability works and there's cost savings. So what the office does, or what I do, is some guest lecture. Sorry, lost you there. Some guest lecturing, research, and we support coursework. I'm very also passionate about climate science, kind of environmental nerd who really liked sports, and a lot of sports stuff transitioned to outdoor sports. I went from team sport to outdoor sports. So I kiteboard, I surf, I backcountry snowboard. I do all these different things that really drive me to do why I work in sustainability, because selfishly, I really just want to protect my personal playgrounds and let other people, and when I have kids eventually, they can experience that too. Studied at the University of Miami in Florida, did a master's in environmental science and engineering, basically, and same with undergrad, and a minor in meteorology. So what does our office do on campus? We're really focused on becoming a global leader in sustainability and driving social change through that and awareness. There's really three areas that we hit on campus, and that's first operationally, like how can we become environmentally friendly as possible and support kind of the business and other operations of the university to make it better for everyone, but also have cost savings and a net benefit on our planet, and setting goals around that. Also, we do a lot of outreach and events. Some of you may experience those around campus, trying to pair up with existing culture and creating a culture of sustainability on campus. Additionally, we do a lot of work around education and research. So it's guest lecturing in classes, making campus a living lab. We've done a lot of student projects on campus, classwork on campus to utilize our resources here on campus as a way to do research and studies and things like that. Our office is based in facilities. It does a lot of campus maintenance and stuff, but we transition beyond those borders, transcend those borders with other groups like we are seeing here and partnerships across campus. We actually have 2 full-time employees. So it's myself and Lucy Renfro, who's in the back there, our sustainability coordinator. And then the big lifeblood of our program is student employees. We have 20 plus student employees, 2 of which I think are here. Yeah, Tatum, Eva. And so we wouldn't be able to do what we do without partnerships and our student work. We also run the campus bike shop. So we want to support, as an example of outdoor active, sustainable transit on campus, getting people out of single-use car trips and trying to create a culture of biking on campus that hopefully can transition later to helping LA become more bike-friendly and connectivity to campus. Also, we have the campus garden, which is a great example of kind of suburban urban ecology. People can touch, feel, and experience sustainability. We had a big win this year. It's not all about rankings, but the Princeton Review ranked us number 4 out of 388 schools across North America in sustainability. That's really important for faculty, staff, and student recruitment and retention. There's a bunch of studies out there about students looking at colleges to attend or stay at, and all else being equal, they may choose, like over 70% of respondents said sustainability was a factor in their choice, all else being equal. So this is an important piece of what we do. It's an important as you all transition into your careers. And we've also seen about a 30% reduction in our carbon footprint since our 2009 baseline, and through the work we've done in partnerships across campus, whether that's EV charging, energy savings, recycling, composting, and all those kind of initiatives that we do. Yeah, so I think I can transition.
Nice. Well, thank you. Do you see all the amazing things that are happening on this campus? So now, interactive time, okay? So now we want to know what you have already been involved in. Like, what of these things that resonated with you that you've already done and you're like, I knew about that part, okay? So this is a place, you don't have to include your name, but do indicate sort of your status on campus, student, faculty, staff, etc. And let's see if it actually works, guys. Okay, so what are we seeing, panel, about these responses?
So 0 the count.
But there's a lot of room for people to get in.
All right. So, yay. Okay, so now I got to get back to this. Okay, it's still open if you haven't put in your response yet. There'll be one other interactive. Hold on. Okay, we're not done yet. But I wanted to take a moment here and sort of ground our work. We were doing amazing things, but there's a bigger picture here. Okay, so we're going to speak a little bit about Laudato Si. And before I turn it over to Michael to elaborate on this a little bit, I want to talk about it a little bit from a personal perspective. So whether you know it or not, our work is driven by LMU's mission. And Laudato Si specifically is very personal to me. So not only does it speak to environmental justice and care for the physical earth alongside with care for the poor, it's written by a pope who was a chemist, right? Okay, so, and it came out in summer of 2015, and I read it while I was literally rocking a newborn to sleep who wouldn't be put down. So every 30-minute interval, sitting there with the book and reading it. The language is so accessible. If you haven't picked it up, I would highly recommend that you pick it up. Even a new mom with a lot of lack of sleep can get something out of it. So you can too. I also wanted to just highlight and touch point, yesterday, one of the panelists on one of the sessions yesterday, Connor Houston, talked about how we have to disagree well. And in this document, he talks so much about dialogue and how we all have to come together to figure this out. So anyways, I'm going to turn it over to Michael, but I'm going to leave you with, this is my favorite quote from that passage, and we'll give everyone a few minutes. Oh, apparently.
As Nicole said, my name's Michael, and I work with the CSJ Center for Reconciliation and Justice. And one of the things that we have been tasked to do is to help animate the values of Laudato Si at an institutional level. And wow. Okay, didn't expect it to be that big. Just as a quick introduction, I got into this line of work through the media arts, through film. I did my graduate training in theology and film and media arts, so I've been working kind of on the storytelling and artistic side of the environmental work. So then, when I found my way into the work with Laudato Si, it was really it was vocational in many respects. So, why is this important? There's two things to know real quick about Laudato Si. First of all, Laudato Si, for those of you not familiar with papal letters, because how many people here have read one? Other than John Sebastian. Yeah. And Nicole Bouvier Brown, Rocking Church. There's a room for you in the theology department just with that story alone. So we welcome you on that. It is a tradition for many spiritual leaders to take some time to write some sort of important teaching or provide some sort of important communication of values to their religious community, their followers, their devotees. Pope Francis did something really unique. He not only wrote an encyclical calling for helping address what he calls an ecological crisis. And when I say he calls an ecological crisis, and this is the important Laudato Si, is it's an ecological crisis that is both a concern for the environment and people. So the marginalized, the poor, and the natural biology and resources of the planet. The second that hasn't happened before in the church, where an encyclical written by a pope focusing on an ecological crisis has been written. The second thing that's really important about it, it was the first time a letter or an encyclical teaching was addressed to the entire world, not just the Catholic Church. This was a letter he wrote in communion with scientists, theologians, thinkers, people from all different backgrounds, to make an argument to the world that the most important crisis of our time is this ecological crisis. So it calls for us to address the problems. A few years after the encyclical was released, and the encyclical was released, I believe, in 2015, a few years after that, the Vatican started a platform called the Laudato Si Action Platform. And the platform is an action platform. And the idea there is that signatories to that platform, in the same way we would agree to a treaty or to the United Nations Accords or some type of practice, or even at a business level, some sort of memo of understanding, some sort of tacit commitment by institutions and individuals to address the ecological crisis by enacting action plans that changed the habits or the policies or the procedures of an organization to conform with the values of Laudato Si. A few years back, LMU became a signatory to that platform. And we have been slowly animating that process here at LMU for a few years, is exampled by the faculty you see on this stage and what you experience in your classrooms, and by many of the people I see in this room, chaplains, ministers, mission officers, colleagues from facilities maintenance, who have all participated in this work in their own way. So what is the point of this process? The process, the ultimate outcome of the Laudato Si action platform is transformation. The idea is to change our institutional and personal habits that may be directly or indirectly leading to the problem of exploitation of people and exploitation of planet. And those exploitation usually exists either for sometimes a lot of profit or political power. So Laudato Si is about the issue of exploitation. And the late Pope Francis introduces to a concept of integral ecology, meaning that all the ills of the world, all the injustices are actually symptoms of a larger problem. Human trafficking, rampant poverty, wars of aggression, polluting the oceans, fossil fuel addiction, pollution in the air. All those are symptoms of a deeper problem, and that is the exploitation of people and resources for our own personal or collective profit and value in this world. So Laudato Si calls for an end to that. Easier said than done. So the process itself is at this university is to continue to examine what are the processes that we're doing, what happens in our everyday way of life that may be directly leading to the problem, but also might be indirectly leading to the problem. And that's the hard part, is thinking indirectly. That requires discernment, that requires thoughtful analysis, that requires studying, requires listening to your teachers in the classroom. It really requires a deep reflection on a personal level about what it is that I'm doing every day in my life, things I might take for granted, and how those might connect to a problem somewhere else in the world, somewhere out of my view. So the takeaway from all of this for us is that the most important thing into solving the ecological crisis, I'm going to give you away the end. This is the answer to the test. It really is relationships with each other. This is a personal, transformational process that requires a commitment from everybody. The only way the ecological crisis is resolved is that everybody in this room and outside of this room agrees to dialogue, be in relationship with each other, and walk with each other to find the solutions. And think about people and problems that exist outside this room, because it's recognizing the deep interconnectedness of all things. There's a reason we're all on this stage together. We all come from different disciplines and different backgrounds, but all those disciplines and backgrounds are deeply interconnected with each other and require all of us to recognize that interconnection and to work together to solve this crisis. It requires law, science, theology, arts, and every other discipline I didn't mention because we have a lot of majors here. So think about every course you have, every major you study in, there is something in there that is going to contribute a solution to the larger ecological crisis. This is an ongoing process here at LMU, and our center works to collaborate with everyone here to animate various projects and pilots and ideas so that LMU itself can be a model for transforming our habits as an institution, along with our brother and sister Catholic institutions across the world. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we're gonna end with my favorite photo ever. Okay. The best environmental photo ever taken. This is called Earthrise, taken from Apollo 8, Christmas Eve, 1968. So, think about history and what was happening in 1968 in this country. This is that year. And to me, showing the fragility, the boundaries, and just this beautiful marble in this black space, right? So What do you want us to do? Okay. You see the expertise in this space. We need something to work on as a collective, as a group. And so we had panels yesterday talking about dreaming big. We had Dr. Willett talking about building microforests, right? Is that something we should focus on? We had our keynote speaker talking about building a school of sustainability that she did at Loyola Chicago. Is that something we should work on? So this is our opportunity. We will have a microphone to go around here and get your input. But for those who don't feel comfortable speaking aloud, or just for documentation's purposes, it would be great if you gave us your answer through this poll. I'm a scientist. I like data. I want to refer to it later. I want to see an aggregate of responses and things like that. So just think about, what can LMU do in the environmental space, right? Based in Laudato Si, but with all the expertise that we have here, also beyond us. But these are the leaders in these fields. So, do we have? Got so many microphones. So does anybody have any ideas? Sure, file back in. Start seeing what comes up on the screen behind you. If there are anything you guys want to comment on. Or questions, comments, anything that comes up for you. Collaboration, I love it. One want to bring something up for us to speak out?
Can I ask a question about that last one? So communication beyond just social media, posters and things, can you speak a little bit more about that? What would that look like?
I didn't write that one, but I have something to say about it. But I feel like even our class today, like I wouldn't have known about this today if you didn't tell us about it. So I feel like beyond just social media, like hearing from friends, professors, or just other people at school, like I'm in marketing and business, but I would be interested in like other environmental opportunities, like to get involved with this department. But I just feel like in business, aside from this one class, I haven't really heard about all the great stuff that we're doing on campus. But so I think there's you're already doing a lot of great work, and just you already know, like a lot of students just don't know about what we're already doing. So just talking about it, I think, in classes and stuff.
So connecting it in class, and then there's also outside of class communication.
Hi. Oh my God. I was the one who wrote that. I am an animation student. I was completely unaware of the whole trying to promote and have, I guess, just spread more awareness through animation and just film media, entertainment. As an animation student, I am a senior. I'm on my last semester. I would have absolutely loved to know about this and help out even as a freshman. It gives me the opportunity to learn and engage more on like environmental talks or topics. And it also just helps me career wise and getting to learn even more about animation itself. So I feel like it's a way to like integrate even within the school of like film and television on LMU. But yeah, I thought that it was a really cool thing to learn, and I want to learn more about it.
Yay, animation majors. Hayao Miyazaki is my patron saint.
I think the other thing that came out of the conversations yesterday, you could back me up on this, but is students drive change on campuses. So if students want to see collaboration, which it sure sounds like that's a theme here, which is what I would love to see, it turns out the administration will respond much faster to student requests and proposals than faculty and staff proposals for these things. So this is a call to all of us, but obviously we could shepherd it along, but that's why we up here can only do so much. We really do need the spirit and excitement from the students. So any sort of concrete ideas of things we should be looking for are welcome.
And what does leverage CBA mean?
Get the Laudato Si action plan for the next strategic plan. Ooh. Ooh. Who wrote that one? Oh, tough.
I think I know who. Advertising.
Posters. I like that.
Get Marcom involved.
Do that.
Well, we do have part of the action plan is to try to incorporate it into classes. Ian, I think you're on that working group, right? Trying
Yes.
to get Laudato Si into maybe a rhetorical arts class or something that every student takes.
Yeah, I just saw someone wrote that something to the nature of some schools have implemented a core curriculum or one of those one credit, or like if you think about, I don't know, University of Miami, we had like a freshman survey everyone had to take as like a core rec to graduate. The idea is that some schools have done that where they make that a sustainability or a general environmental awareness course. Because I think as we talked a lot about in the panel here, I think every job is an environmental job. And one of the problems right now with sustainability is that it tends to be a segmented conversation relying on the environmentalists, but really we need all disciplines to contribute in your own special way. Like you all have an opportunity to work towards sustainability goals in whatever field you're passionate about and choose. So I think a core course would go a long ways in that knowledge. I also saw something about composting. Anyone want to elaborate on that? But I saw something about, if you don't want to, that's cool. I can talk a little bit about it. You want to add to that? Okay.
Coming your way.
Maybe because I know we have gardens and everything on campus, and we can also contribute to other community gardens by taking people's food scraps from the layer. Because often, I don't know, I notice that like people throw like a lot of their own food away for whatever reason. So they can also help with preventing food waste. Something like that.
Yeah, so we'll have a pretty progressive answer to that with hopefully within the next year. We're going to be getting a in-vessel compost machine, which is basically a large enclosed unit on campus where we're going to take most, if not all of our food waste and turn that into compost in an accelerated process through a machine and then be able to use it on flower beds, landscaping around campus, because there is a huge environmental impact to food waste going off campus and ending up in landfills. So we'll be able to have a pretty progressive program there. It'll probably start in dining halls, and then we can expand, just logistically, because there's labor and other groups involved, how we can expand outwards to events, to housing, to offices and things like that. But it will start in like the lair, for instance, to your point. And we've definitely been talking about ways to look at, a big part of sustainability is, as Jeff knows, and everybody here actually is purchasing and upstream problems, like stopping it at the source. So there'll be some collaboration with Aramark and other groups to try and ensure that what's coming and we're buying on campus can be effectively put in that composter and avoiding, plastics and other things. So it'll be a multi-year program, but that's the goal with that.
Coming your way.
Yes, that's why we're doing it this way, so that
Anybody wants to elaborate on what they said, everything.
The first two things that come to mind for me is like one, maybe a Wellness Wednesday booth where you could be offering like little potted plants from the on-campus gardens, because if people can actually get something for free as students, we love that. We love gifts. We love things like that. Another thing that I was thinking of is like more low commitment opportunities on campus. So I love the on-campus gardens and those things because I think we're so busy as students, and we have jobs and majors and minors. So like if we don't have to be all in, but we want to help when we can, that works. And then maybe even offer like class credit or like core credits. I know we were talking about getting it in the curriculum for community service, because I know if it even offered like 2 credits to do X hours of community service or like 3 credits, so many students would take advantage of that, because I know a lot of people like finish their core requirements, finish their major requirements, yet they still need more credits to graduate. So you get a lot of people who are interested in that instead of taking these like random 1 or 2 credit classes.
Thank you.
I might quickly follow up with that. Those are great ideas. Thanks. And in our environmental studies capstone, which admittedly is for environmental studies majors, they work with a community organization on a project based on something that they need, the organization, and the students help them with that and then produce kind of a final product. And that is part of an engaged learning course. But taking your point, I think, there's real opportunities for maybe either engaged learning credit or some kind of credit towards community service in the environmental realm, whatever that looks like. I think that's really interesting for us to explore. I also wanted to ask, because somebody or a number of folks have asked about or talked about opportunities, right? There are low stakes opportunities, but then there are also differences between opportunities to get involved that departments offer, like Nicole and like environmental science, environmental studies, environmental law, right? We can direct you towards internships. We have capstones, engaged learning, like I just talked about. We have classes, but we don't necessarily always employ students or have like summer projects beyond our research, right? So, but we do on this panel have many of those types of things. We have Center for Urban Resilience, we have the Bay Foundation, we have Green LMU. And I was just wondering to my fellow panelists, how can actually how can students get involved? Do they need to talk to you? Do you have calls for applications? Is it an informal thing? Is it a very formal kind of timeline? And the students who are here, how would they get involved with your organizations?
I'm happy to swing at that first. Thank you. I love it when a good idea comes together. We had 2 environmental studies students last year who I had as students were like, we want to set up a table on Wellness Wednesdays and tell everybody about the work that you guys are doing. We'd like to get the word out. Yay. We're doing it again this year. That light touch, that light investment. We have lots of volunteer opportunities through the Bay Foundation. You can find us at santamonicabay.org. We're putting about 30 acres of sand dunes back on the beach in Santa Monica. Come out on any given Saturday, spend an hour, spend 2, learn about the native plants that we're working with, learn about the habitat values. I think that there's a lot that we're trying. Shameless plug for tomorrow, a number of my collaborators that we work with the Bay Foundation to accomplish our goals will be here. These are folks with the Kuruvungna Springs, which is a Gabrielino Tongva sacred site. We're investing in working with them. They have volunteer programs and internship opportunities that we fund. We've got folks from the Black Surfers Collective are going to come here and talk about their program and how they're engaging with youth and first responders and other folks who could benefit from greater access and improved connection with the ocean. So there's lots happening. Thanks for prompting that.
And I'll jump in from our center's perspective. We have on average about 4 to 5 students that work with us a year. We've been up to 25 one year, and we were doing coyote studies, hummingbird studies, social studies. We go out into parks and find out, what do you want from this park? So we run the gamut. And like I mentioned before, we're interdisciplinary. And you can do this through inquiring with your professors for work study, for credits that you can apply, coming out and volunteering with us, helping us do our research. There's so much here on campus, and start with your professors. My My background is in marketing, and I'm a little frustrated with the some of the comments that some of the students have made of not knowing what's going on. That's our fault. We're not doing a good enough job getting this info to you, and it really bothers me. And I'm going to talk to some people at other levels within our university because you need to have this at your fingertips so you know where to go. To your point about being you're a busy student, you might have a job, you've got 2 majors. You don't need to be hunting and pecking for this stuff. It needs to be right there. So come to us. You've got us now. Go to your professors. We're here for you, and we can't wait to offer you something that will excite you in your career and your personal life.
From the perspective of the Institute for Business Ethics and Sustainability, the Institute itself hires about 15 work study students every year and sometimes augments that with our funding. Frankly, our programs wouldn't be possible without the work of the student workers. The next session here for the CSJ Center will be a panel discussion really on transportation and transformative ways to think about Los Angeles. This is a student-led panel. They decided on the topic. They recruited participants to participate, and they will be running that session. They also have a social media campaign on the Sustainable Development Goals. If you follow LMU IBES on Instagram, you'll see that every Monday there's an introduction to one of the Sustainable Development Goals. Every Wednesday, there is a profile of a business that's advancing that Sustainable Development Goal. And then every Friday, there's an interview with a student organization or a specific student activity on campus that also is advancing that SDG. And they'll help us conduct the International Business Ethics and Sustainability Case Competition and all that. So that's one vehicle. Every spring, we hire students to participate in the SDG Student Ambassador Program. To your point, there'll be a table beginning today and through the rest of the semester to catalyze awareness of the SDGs that they're holding at Wellness Wednesday. And then they're also launching a social media campaign specifically to highlight nonprofits in the area also aligned with the SDGs that students can be involved in. So we're working to do that. And of course, we can do more, but a couple of other touch points.
Yeah, from the Green LMU perspective, we do hire every end of summer into the fall. We have kind of a revolving door of 20 plus students with different roles. So that's one opportunity there for work study positions, whether it's the bike shop, the garden, or in the office. Additionally, we do partner a lot with ASLMU to produce events and student clubs. So I think we've found that that's a great way to reach everybody to see if we can, because one of the challenges I find is certainly we found is getting the word out or getting engagement. So I do like the concept of the community service hours or volunteer. We in the past have had a few things like work in the garden for a work day and get community service hours we sign off on. We've kicked around ideas of like green teams for events on campus. I think at some point it'd be cool to do something like, Fall Palooza, if that's one of the most attended events. How could we have a green education and activation team there along with sustainability features at that concert, just as you see at any other large festival? I think that would be interesting, a great opportunity for students, but definitely through ASLMU and through student orgs, we can do things like beach cleanups, and we've done a lot of those things and done research opportunities with areas. So reach out to us and we can try to connect you with some of those people.
One more commercial. On March 20th, we're hosting the Institute another day with environmental, social, and governance experts from Bloomberg to help students learn how to use Bloomberg terminals and to do due diligence of corporate performance in environmental, social, and governance work. So this will be the second time that we've done this. We did it in the fall and we're doing it again in the spring. March 20th from 9 to noon. There's only 12 terminals. So we have a maximum capacity of 24. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll be repeating this in class, but we're broadcasting it broadly and a number have participated in this, how to understand business data in order to evaluate the work that businesses are doing in these critical dimensions that correspond to Laudato Si. So that's another opportunity as well.
I wanted to answer a question, if I may, really quickly. Someone had asked about the fires and what we're doing to mitigate improving the soil after fires. A number of people on this panel are very deeply involved in what's happening in the state of California with some new regulations that are going to be foisted upon us. And if you Google the term Zone Zero, you're going to get a lot of information. I currently serve on a panel, actually a working group that's hosted by Narit Katz, who's the sustainability officer at UCLA. We meet every Monday, and we sometimes have multiple meetings every week, and we invite people who are experts in the world of forest fires and urban fires, and what are we going to do to take care of our wild areas and our urban areas. And this is a huge issue right now. It's very politically motivated. Unfortunately, it's being driven by the insurance companies. I know, Tom, your center is probably deep into this because of what's happening with the ash that has come up on the shores after these massive fires. So if you want to go deep into the politics and into what needs to be done to protect our urban forest, come see any of us. We're on this. We're on committees. We don't get paid. What's so interesting is a lot of us, what we do, yes, we have a paycheck. We're here at LMU, but a lot of what we do is driven by our personal passions. And that's what it's all about, right? You want to be passionate about things and enjoy what you're doing in life. So come and see us. We can help you with that if you want to learn more.
May I ask a question of the students? Do we have time for that? Oh, cool. I have a question for all of you, just a quick show of hands. How many of you, I was prompted by one of the notes that's up there about, what can we do in our busy lives? Because it is busy. How many of you are in a fraternity or sorority? How many of you, keep your hands up, how many of you are in a club, a registered club on campus? How many of you are in some sort of other social group or athletic team or club sport? Or raise your hands high. I'm going to get a good sense here. So a little bit more than half of you. Here's a thought, something to think about. In the same way that we are trying to animate Laudato Si at LMU in an institutional way, perhaps think about how you could parallel that process in your own clubs, in your own organizations, because there's no need to take on a big project. But Laudato Si and ecological renewal is all about the little things. So I would encourage you to think about how you might animate and participate in the platform within your own student clubs, within your own fraternities or sororities, within your own social organizations, because it's the everyday little things, the little business matters, the agendas, the events, everything that your organization does is dependent on the supply chains and the resources of this world and this community. So in the same way, LMU and other Jesuit and Marymount and St. Joseph colleges and universities across the world are thinking through their processes and every day of life activities through the lens of the platform, I would encourage you to think about that yourselves in your own student clubs. How might you animate the values of Laudato Si in the everyday activities of your student club in small ways? And that'll make a deal of a difference. And there's so much learned in just doing. And then if you run into questions, ta-da, professors.
Also prompted by one of the comments here, some of you have written about CBA Advantage. So students of the College of Business Administration, we have a program called CBA Advantage, and students are required to earn 500 CBA points as part of their graduation requirement. And this involves an array of different activities or reflections that are submitted around experience that have had. And really it's about building an electronic portfolio to accompany the academic work that's done in the classroom. There is a document called the Inspirational Paradigm for Jesuit Business Education. It carries the spirit of Laudato Si and articulates how we understand business education in the Jesuit community. There is a tutorial on the inspirational paradigm in Jesuit business education. Sometimes it's summarized IPP, and there's video reflections from 4 faculty members, myself and 3 others on this, and you can earn CBA Advantage points on that. And that one crosswalks a lot of what we're talking about here with the specific lens of business education. So you can take a look at that as well, the inspirational paradigm for Jesuit business education in CBA Advantage. And then talk to me also about other things. A lot of our IBEST programming offers CBA Advantage points as another example, but talk to me about that, you guys business students, okay?
Hey, any other final thoughts? Well, thank you so much for being here.
We got one more.
Okay. All right.
I kind of feel like the consensus I've been hearing from the students is that, we love these type of events, but we just haven't really been able to hear about it. And as like a marketing student, I feel like I'm always trying to think, okay, how can you bridge that gap of, not knowing about these things? I think we get a lot of emails every day, and a lot of them kind of have the same subject title, and they kind of just get lost. And so, I don't know, maybe think about ways you can have these same kind of symposiums, but more in students' faces. I don't know if that's feasible, but doing them like on Alumni Mall or outside in big spaces where just people walking by would be able to see them, and maybe they come up and they stand in the back and then they get interested, they stay for a while, they ask a question, and it leads to new conversation. So I don't know, trying to figure out how to kind of bridge that gap.
Thank you, Parker.
It's a great place to end, I think, because I think all of your comments have really reinforced my feeling, which was people don't know all the great things that are happening on this campus. And so continue to brainstorm because you are the target audience, right? We can sit in our offices and have meetings all the time, but not necessarily know what resonates with the students all the time. So you know how to find us, hopefully, and hopefully now you're inspired to tell your friends about all these opportunities. But anyways, I want to thank you for your input, for your insight. I want to thank my panel most of all. Yay, yay, panel. And let's just, take this interdisciplinary collaborative spirit for the environment with us as we leave this space.